Welcome into Night Mood. It's Michael here in the lab on a crazy Thursday. You're looking into a Thursday conversation. I have a special guest, Josevie. I've always called her Josevie. I've always botched her name since I was a young guy. But she is here. She is a author. Name of her book is Thrive and Be Somebody. 11 Steps to Maneuver Life's Obstacles with Confidence. Night Eagles, you're in for a special treat for a conversation that you don't want to miss. Josevie Jackson is coming on with me. Conversation with Josevie. Stay tuned. Here we go. It's Thursday. It's an influential Thursday. I'm going to start calling this VIP, very influential people on conversations. And I want to introduce to you guys, all you Night Eagles listening. This is going to be one of a special. I'm kind of nervous. I'm always nervous doing interviews because that's what it should be normal to be nervous when you're doing things of a blessed nature, high magnitude. But this is not only a special guest, this is one of my family members who I have not seen since I was yay big. And we got reconnected and I didn't put one and two together and I've been following and then the light bulbs went off. I'm like, wait a minute, that's my cousin. Welcome into the lab, everybody. You're with yours truly and Josevie Jackson, author, business coach. We have a lot to talk about. Welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And
It's
I can hear you
Josevie.
just fine. I've always
Good.
botched your name. I
I know
that's why
it's
I always
okay.
knew. So I am so sorry. Um, this is a privilege. I've been waiting to get you on, and then it was kind of funny because when I talked to your mom, and I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, publishing company? What?" So many things are going on, and I say this
Yeah.
being one of the older ones in our family, in the second generation, because my older cousin is older than me. When you know your family roots, I think you can talk about this too. When you know your family roots and the success stories and creation, there is no excuse for stupidity. When you know
Absolutely.
your family roots, and so it's a privilege to me to have you on here. Welcome into the lab
Thank you.
for conversation,
I just
Josevie.
want to say something really quick about knowing family roots. I think
Yeah,
that just like when children know they came from their mom and their dad, and so they tend to think I'm like this or like that because that's who their parents are. So it gives them a
hmm
point of reference. Oh, I got this from my mom, I got this from my dad. When
hmm
you dig deeper and you go back further and you start extending that knowledge to your entire family throughout history and you start to see the struggles and the successes, then it
yeah,
helps you to appreciate that no matter what struggles you're going through, it's in your DNA to succeed. It's one of the things that your great uncle, my grandfather, Bishop Thomas, instilled in us. He made us learn history so that we, no matter what, we always had a frame of reference, a point of reference, so that we
hmm
could say, well, you know what, this person went through something worse, but they were able to succeed, so I can succeed too.
exactly. And that's for us, and we have a large family. I have been to South Carolina, walked into a Walmart, and got accosted out of the bathroom like, "You're a Thomas." I was like, "Whoa, who are you?" And they knew Uncle Spurge because he was in the
Yep,
service, Uncle Spurgeon. And I'm like, because he's like, you all look alike, with your big eyes
yep,
and your, so it was interesting. So yeah, when you know your history
yeah.
and search your history because there's so much richness, so much that you may think you're doing something new and authentic. It has everything to do with what's already been paved back there.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, see, the Night Eagles don't know you, but who is Miss Jackson?
Joseph, Joseph
Joseve.
Jackson.
Joseve.
Okay,
Who
I'll,
is
I'll tell
Joseve?
you the so I'm a mother of 6 children. They're all grown. I have 7 grandchildren. And I would say that the thing that I'm most proud of is family. I've been married for 37 years this year. And I still love
Wow.
my husband and he still spoils me. So it's a great match, even though we still get on each other's nerves every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
That just comes with
Mm-hmm.
the territory, though, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. Right.
but I've had many businesses. I started my career as a serial entrepreneur. I did do some college. I didn't finish college. I started a family very early and wanted to start making money right away. And the only way that I could see doing that was entrepreneurship. So I started my first business at 20, and then I continued. I had some great successes. I had some learning experiences. And along the way, I have just created a work ethic that is, I mean, when you have 6 kids and you got 3 of them in diapers, you learn how to just manage work. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've been able, people say work life balance. I don't even work life balance. I believe in more of work life integration. So just do what you got to do, who you got to be, just do, whatever it takes to get the job done. People go, how are you able to accomplish all of these things?
Right.
Well,
Right.
I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I own my own coaching business, my own publishing company, Black Card Books, which I'm a proud owner of. It's a company that I inherited from the founder, Mr. Jerry Robert, who has done a phenomenal job with systems to actually help authors succeed in their books, with their books. Most people who are authors today, especially if they're um, self-published, they don't
Mm-hmm.
find a whole lot of success in having a book. They write a book and now they've got boxes and boxes of books lying around. So what
Mm-hmm.
we've done, what Jerry was able to do, and now I've inherited that system, is create a system that works every single time to create properly positioned authors in the marketplace. And so I'm excited to do that because I call myself not a crackhead, but a success head, because I get high on other people's success. I love success. I
Yeah.
love seeing it because when you see success and you're surrounded by it, then it helps you to stay confident and know that this is possible. If this was possible for this person, then it's possible for everyone, for my children, my grandchildren, for everybody around me. It's possible for everybody to attain success.
I wrote that down. You said family business integration. I've not heard that.
Yeah.
I think that's so key. Can you talk about integration? What does that mean for someone listening? Like, whoa, what do you mean, not balance? You got to have balance.
I think because I'm an entrepreneur, so most people go to work, drive to work. So it takes them, I don't know, they commute. So that's part of work
Mm-hmm.
to me. Commuting is part of
Mm-hmm.
your job. So you
Mm-hmm.
commute, you have what are 8-hour days or more, and then you commute
Mm-hmm.
back home, and then all of a sudden you're home and you've separated the two. You've got work during this time, you've got home during this time. And the problem is in today's society, work can speak over into home.
Yeah.
And so you see people, even though they're off work, they've made the kid, they're now at their house, but now they're still working. They're on their computers, they're on their phones, they're on their tablets. I do the same thing, except I schedule when I'm working. I schedule, like, work to me is just part of everyday life. So I'm here at the house, and I was doing remote work even before COVID. So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching my grandchildren, which I have one that I watch on Mondays and I have another one that I watch on other days. And so then my grandchild is with me saying hi in the Zoom meetings, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't detract from me being a professional. It does. I mean, it's like we've all seen newscaster who had on his
Yeah.
shorts, or the one who had his daughter, his little girl
Yeah.
coming in, and the wife trying to run and get him out. It's just part of life. And so I
Yeah.
think once you let go of that stigma and you just realize, people everywhere are working hard and still not
Mm-hmm.
able to accomplish their goals. When you think about it, and I'll say this very quickly because I know I don't want to ramble and rant, but there was an experience that a story that I was told when I was very young, and I don't know if I have the story right, but this is my version of it. There was a guy a businessman, a successful businessman. He went to the sea and he saw a fisherman there who had
Mm-hmm.
who lived in a small village. He had a small house where he lived with his wife and his children. And every day the fisherman would wake up in the morning, he'd go out and go fishing, he'd catch a few fish, he'd come home, he'd sell the fish market, bring fish home to cook for his family, and that was his life. And so the businessman said, if you just increased how many boats you took out, you could have more fish and you could sell
Mm-hmm.
more fish at the market and even bring more fish home. You could put them in the freezer,
Right.
save them for later. And the businessman said, okay, so if I did that, then what would happen? He goes, well, then you could create your own fishing business. And now you don't
Mm-hmm.
even have to go out fishing at all anymore. You can just hire a bunch, bigger company, create this big thing. And now you've got more people going out fishing for you and you have more fish to sell. You can sell it at grocery stores all over the world. And then the fisherman goes, okay, and then what happened? He said, well, then if you want, you can just retire and you can just get a small cabin and go fishing and spend time with
Mm-hmm.
your family and you could do that. And the fisherman looked at him and said, I already do that. He already went fishing during the day. He went home, spent time with his family. So he didn't
Right.
need to do all of the big industry, all of the, that's the thing. What's the end goal? For all of
Right.
us, what is it that's
Right.
the end goal? And so instead of trying to balance work and life, integrate it. Live life now because the future is not promised to any of us. I could drop dead tomorrow, but guess what? I've done a lot. I've traveled all over the
Mm-hmm.
world. I've done the thing that the fisherman said. I've had time that I've
Mm-hmm.
spent with family, friends, loved ones. I've gone on cruises. I've done everything that I've ever thought about doing, and I don't wait to do it until a certain time period because of work. Because one thing I learned because I've had jobs too, is when you leave a job, the company keeps going and they just hire somebody else to replace you.
Yep. That's right.
So,
That's right.
you really have to get your priorities straight. And so my priorities are family is still first. God is first, then family. And so I integrate work and the rest of my life so that it's not one thing over the other. I work a lot, but I can do that because all of my kids are grown and it's just me and my husband. And so while
Ah.
I work, yeah, so I can do that. It's different. I did the same thing though when my kids were younger. My kids actually would walk to the business that we owned. We owned a mortgage company, and they would answer the phones. And they would, I learned that though because when I was a kid, we had an ice cream store, and we would go sell ice cream and really eat up all the ice cream. Or we would go and have they didn't call them food trucks back then. They called them trailers, where my grandmother would bake sweet potato pies and her friends would make plates. They would sell them out of a little trailer that they had at a carnival on Main Street. And we were there too, and we would go help sell, and then we'd go play on the carnival rides. So it's something that I learned at a very early age. You just incorporate it, and you can do it all. You just have to pace yourself and keep your priorities straight.
I love that. You can do it all. And that's what I've been talking about. I just did an episode on wisdom over the past couple of days. And the strategies of wisdom, when I was going over the strategies of wisdom, it's like what you're talking about is right there. And so like this mindset of taking off the former mindset and what does success look like for you and not measuring up to
Yeah.
someone else.
Yeah.
And then you like talking about integration. It's like, yeah, many folks live compartmentalizing life. There's the job, here's family, here's this, that, and the other. And then at the end of the day, like, where's you in that? And like listening to what you're saying, like when you integrate, you're involved in each and every one of those smoothless, crazy, not everything's seamless, but the integration you're going to go through, whether it's buffers and, whether it's my spouse giving me some heck because I'm spending too much time here and then you got to carve that out, but you're not separate. And so I love that integration. I'm calling it FBI. I love that family business integration. I mean, that's like really kind of cool.
I love that.
Because it just makes sense to me. And see, this is what the conversation is about and the influence that we all carry. And I believe everyone is influential. And with what you do and who you interface with, how important is this affirmation that I am influential, whether it's one person or a half a dozen, or maybe you are with a myriad of person. How important is that one affirmation? I am influential.
I think it's super important because we all have an impact on other people, whether we realize the value and the importance of it or not. I mean, we all sit back and think about a time when somebody may have said or done something, just something they may not even realize that has impacted or changed us.
Hmm.
And so we just have to be aware. It's funny, I didn't even realize that even after everything that I've done, I've written books and all kinds of stuff, but I didn't realize that until in India. I was at a speaking engagement and I was speaking in front of a crowd of people in India. And during the break, you come down, and so I was surrounded by a group because they still want to ask questions and they want to talk.
Yes.
And I remember there was a lady there who her question. Oh, I'm so sorry. Somebody's door and the dogs are barking.
That's okay.
Sorry about. I have dogs right here. So I remember one lady comes up to me and she goes, "Well, what do I do if I want to become a wedding choreographer?" And I said, "Okay, well, what you do is you get a business card and you say wedding choreographer. And when people ask you what you do, you don't tell them your day job. You say, I'm a wedding choreographer. You give them your card and say, hey, if you've got any testimonials or experiences, you can create a flyer, just start advertising yourself as what you want to be." And the look in her eyes, like it's that easy. And here's the thing that's interesting about that is I saw that look in her eyes, and then when I looked up, I saw like it was like flick, 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 flick.
Yep.
I could see the look, the aha moment, that fire just lit
Yes.
up in every person. And to me, it was a no-brainer. It was something like, just do this. But to them, it was an aha moment that they had never even considered. And I thought, to me, it was easy to say that, but it wasn't easy for people who hadn't already heard that. And it's
Right.
funny because the follow me on Facebook, so I interact with them and I can see their successes. And I told you I'm a success head, so I get so excited. I'm
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
yay!
Yeah. Yes.
Yes,
That's what I love about you, because it's not about you per se. See, that's what a person of influence is. They're able to, like a swing, you swing someone into success, and I get more in that swing. And then wherever they land, it's like, wow. And I think for many of us who are VIP, very influential people, for many of us, is it in the process or the end result? What is it like for you? Is it in the process or the end
I
result?
mean, there is no end result for me because you don't. When do you stop? It's always about it's like the saying, you enjoy the journey, not the
Yes.
destination. It's the
Yes.
same thing. When do you stop? So there is no end journey. You just keep going and you enjoy along the way. You take note. You become grateful for every single thing. I mean, recently I was going through some downturn in just because of my husband's health and some issues that we had.
Hmm.
And so with the business. And
Hmm.
so and so I was a little bit, and then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna be grateful because I started thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for, even during those difficult moments. You can always find something to be grateful for. And
Yeah.
being grateful helps us to be able to recognize what we were given. It's not
Yes.
always about us and what we're doing. It oftentimes grateful puts you in a mindset where you recognize, I'm grateful because this is what I was given. And so it changes your perspective a lot from me, having to do,
Hmm.
do, 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 do. Sometimes you just need to just wait and just appreciate maybe you need to take a step back, start thanking for the things that you already have.
Oh, that's beautiful. See, I love conversations because it's neat. It's for me. I've been saying this a lot. I love learning. I literally, truly love learning,
So do
and
I.
and just engaging with what you're talking about. Yes, it's that process, and I'm repeating it because
Yeah.
someone may need to understand it's the process, and those small setbacks. We can use all the puns we want, are your future setup, but even those setbacks, be graceful and gracious, and give yourself some love in those moments, because we're all
Yeah.
going to have those setbacks. And if you don't give yourself just a little bit of love in that moment, your next opportunity of influence, like what you're talking about, could end someone's destination because of that small setback. And I love this because it's like, it's not a pattern to me. It's like living, it's like when we're crossing streets and crossing paths. And one thing I learned through it, I call it the plague vacation, because we were still traveling. But when you meet, yeah, I call it the plague vacation. That's just me. There's just, my minister hat comes on. It's like, people are apprehensive now just to even have that influential opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And maybe because of what it's been like for the past 2.5+ years of the restrictions, and even traveling abroad, is like, you said something to me. Well, yeah, because I genuinely care about who you are and not what you do or not what you have. And so what you are talking about and this integration, it's like we're talking about the thing that you said. Now, that's so profound to me. I wrote it down. It's kind of like my chicken scratch right there. That is so profound for me with the FBI, family business integration, because we're integrating in every aspect of our lives. And so for one who's struggling, or one who's just kind of in that moment where which direction do I go? How do you speak to that with influencing? Like, I don't know what to do. I have been living this life this way, and I don't know any different. Like, maybe a family member has died suddenly, and how do I pick up the pieces and get back into the journey of life, back into my passion? How do you speak to that part, Josevie?
Hmm. Actually, it's probably the second chapter of my book. The very first thing I think we all need to do is stop and reassess. You have to stop and reassess. And the number one thing that we all need to reassess from time to time, we just need to stop and reassess from time to time, is our own inner toolbox. We're all given a box of tools.
Mm-hmm.
These are our assets that we have within us. Some people can sing. Some people are good at conversation. Some people are good at math. Some people are good at, whatever it is. We all have things that we're really good at, things that are our assets, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether they're physical, emotional, some of us are kinder. Some of us are always looking out for other people or helping everybody has their own toolbox of things that they have within them.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, if we're struggling, we need to take an assessment. We need to stop and take a look at our own personal toolbox. And now,
Right.
once we see those tools, so if you're trying to build a house and you only got one tool that you're using, if you only got a nail and you got a box sitting here with a hammer and a saw and everything else, you need to start, take advantage of all the tools that are within us that we have and start formulating a plan before you just start moving forward, because we all experience struggle. Every
Yeah.
single person, even Oprah, and she's even documented it. Like, everybody knows her history and her struggles. Every single person on the planet is not exempt to experiencing struggle. It's not the struggle that determines your future, it's you. I
Right.
believe that we were all created in God's image. He's a creator, and we are also creators, and He's given us our life. It's like a blank canvas, and we can paint
Mm-hmm.
our lives into whatever picture we choose to paint it in. We just have to
Mm.
look at, okay, these are the colors, these are my tools, this is what I have,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I
Mm-hmm.
want to paint. And
Mm-hmm.
so now you just start doing that. Oftentimes we wait because we think, oh, this happened to me, or oh, I'm in the struggle, or oh, I need to overcome this. It's not about overcoming. You're always going to have obstacles. A good athlete doesn't think about overcoming, they think about maneuvering, how
Right.
best to maneuver. Do I jump
Right.
over it? Do I go around
Right.
it? Do I go under it? I think Michael Jordan said that quote: if you come across a wall, you go around it, you go over it, you go under it, you figure it out, you maneuver it. And that's what I wrote about in my book, Thrive and Be Somebody, 11 Steps to Maneuver Life's Obstacles with Confidence. You got to know what you're working with and start planning. Use your tools and quit looking at everybody else, what everybody else is doing. Put your blinders on like horses. They used to, remember
Yes.
back in the day, they used to put those blinders on the horses.
Yep.
So the horse can
Yep.
only follow the goal, right? If it's looking directly, if it's focused at the goal, not looking here or here, forget
Mm-hmm.
that. Put your blinders on and just keep focusing on what it is that you
Mm-hmm.
want. Focus on creating that picture that you want to paint of your own life.
That's right. And I wonder if I can piggyback on that. As you're creating that picture, I love that imagery that you talked about because I believe the same way. We're created in his image, in his imagination, in his imagery, in his creativity. When you're drawing the picture, this is cool. You don't have to be precise. You can draw over the edges. You can, if you mess up, it's okay because that's part of the
You can splat
abstract.
paint
I love that. That's
because
just
because for other people that makes it look even more beautiful.
yes. Yes, because for me it's like okay, I've been so anal. I have a square and I got to make sure that I color the right way. You remember the crayons and the 64 crayons? One color in and
I
out. And
remember.
it's your creation. I love how you said that. You are creating your portrait, and it doesn't have to be in the box. It doesn't have to be as the circle has to be symmetrical. The square, you know what I'm saying? It's I love how you said that because that's part of the journey. We don't take a 90-degree turn when we're walking down the street. We're going to meander. We're going to look at things. We're going to like stop and, tie your shoe or something like that. Or,
Absolutely.
it's what it's
Smell the
what you make of
flowers,
it.
smell the roses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially where we are in this generation. And this is really kind of cool for me, you guys, because for me, it's always learning. And you can always learn from anybody at any time, at anywhere, in any place. And so some notes I'm taking about, plan and your toolbox. I call it your soul closet. And in your soul closet, there's depths of the soul closet.
Yeah.
And if you're in dark times, there's nothing wrong with asking for help in dark times. There's nothing wrong with going to people in your sphere of influence, in your circle of friendships that, there's bond there to say, I'm struggling, or I need a pickup or whatever it has to be. Looking at your portrait, who influences your portrait? I love that word portrait. So I'm gonna steal it. I'll give you credit when I use that word, your portrait.
Thank you.
Who influences you in creating your portrait? And do you recreate the portrait? Is it the same portrait? Do you get to add to the portrait? You know what I'm saying?
I'm influenced by a lot of people. So when I was younger, when I was a child, I was raised by a whole village.
Mm,
They say it takes a village to raise a
yep.
child. I was one of
Yep.
those, and I was fortunate enough to be able to be raised by a village. I was around family all the time. I mean, I was raised by my grandparents, by Nana and Pawpaw. So of course, Pawpaw influenced me the most,
Mm.
as well as Nana. But Pawpaw, we heard him preach sermons. We heard him, and he had a direct impact. I remember one time we stole some chapstick from Woolworth.
You said Woolworth. Oh my gosh, that's old.
Woolworth. That's a long time ago.
Yes, it
Me and my
is.
sisters, we were in the back seat and we were just, oh, we got some chapstick. What does yours taste like? Mine's like cherry. Oh, I got watermelon. Oh, I got the, strawberry. We were just having a good time putting on. We probably had this thick chapstick because we were just eating it. We're kids. I
I know.
remember and it's funny because it's not just true for me, but it's true for at the time it was just the three of us. The other two of my sisters weren't born. I have four sisters, so it was the first three of us. And and for them, they say exactly the same thing. So it didn't just have an impact on me; it had an impact on them as well. But I remember sitting in the room I remember Nana saying, Papa gonna get you. He's gonna get you. And we're like, we've never been spanked by him. We
Oh,
never, ever, not one time had he ever hit us. Not one time. He never put a hand on us. What he
mm.
did was he sat us down and he opened the Bible and he said, Thou shalt not steal.
I can imagine him saying it because you sound like him saying it.
I mean, he was standing up and we were sitting down and we just looked at him like, okay. He said, what did it say? And we said, Thou shalt not steal. Say it again, louder. Thou shalt not steal. And so, he impressed upon us. By the time he finished with that little tiny sermon that he gave to us, the three of us were sitting there bawling, crying. We thought we were just the worst people on the planet. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
That worked because I never stole anything again in my life. And neither have my other two sisters, because that impressed upon us the importance of our actions and our accountability before God. Not just what we want. It's not always about us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about our actions and how it impacts other people and how it impacts God. People think he doesn't have feelings. He doesn't see what we do. It doesn't matter to
Right.
him, but it does.
Right.
And so those, I think that was those moments were super influential. My own children have been influential. I think people who don't even know, I've had those instances where somebody would say something that was so profound to me, but they just said it, oh yeah, and by the way, blah, 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 blah. So, I've been influenced by TV characters. I've been influenced by books that I've read. I'm influenced by the Bible. I'm influenced by a ton of relationships, my relationship with my spouse. I'm influenced by, my grandchildren and learning to become who they need me to be as a grandmother. I'm influenced by so many people. I'm influenced by, my mentors that I've chosen to mentor me along my career journey. And so I can't point out any one or two people. I'm influenced by people who study the Bible with me, and not what they were saying, but what they were showing. Their examples spoke volumes. I remember one lady, sister, I remember she was studying with me during the time that I was going through some tumultuous time in my marriage. I was ready to leave my husband. I was like, I'm out of here. You crazy. I'm not dealing with you. And so I remember watching her example because her husband was just one of these big, tall, rah, 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 rah. And she was like a meek, tiny, okay. And and I was just like, how in the world is she acting like that? I would have kicked him to the curb. Like, I'm in my head, I would never say that to her, right? But I'm looking like, yeah, but I'm like, in my opinion, he appeared to be bullying her. But see, that was my own perception of their marriage. What they had was something that worked. He loved her. He doted on. She didn't have to work. She didn't have to ask for anything. She was able to do whatever it was that she wanted to do. And what she wanted to do, part of that was please her husband. She loved him. She doted on him. You know, it was just the two of them. They didn't have any children. And that was how their relate. So to outsiders looking in, you would think, rah, 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 because that's just how
Right.
he just talked
Right.
like that to everybody. And she understood that. And so watching her example and how, because I would have been like, who are you talking to?
You
Like,
gotta
what?
go.
Don't talk to me like that. But see, I learned from watching her apply,
Yeah.
a wife is to respect. And so she was the ultimate example of respect. And so that's been an influence on me. That's the reason why I've been married for so long. Because, sometimes I forget and the real me comes. I'll be like, but at the end of the yeah, but at the end of the day, those principles, those things that I've seen, that I've heard, that I've learned, they all have had an influence on me.
And you're still creating your portrait.
Absolutely. Till the day I die.
I love that. Create your portrait. At the time we have left. Oh, no, I want to say thank you, by the way, for carving out your time to be with your little cousin because I didn't get to
Well,
share this. And
thank you for having me.
I'm just saying because this has been my fun month of family coming to the podcast to reconnect.
Yeah.
And there's some legacy that I'm walking out, and you're directly connected to it. And you don't know. I've been watching you once before even. I wasn't really sure because when I came back to Facebook, you get the prompts like it's this and such and such and such such, and you got family. And I'm like, well, who is this person? So the motivation and times in our season when we were homeless, you were actually motivating me.
Oh,
And I
don't
wanted to
make me
share that
cry.
with you. Well, I'm just saying because it was a beautiful thing. So when I finally got to connect and talk with you via the social media, and then talking to um, and then connecting with you
Yep.
from indirectly, and she's my older cousin, and we have a slew of cousins. I'm telling you, it's like
Yeah, we do.
we're deep. We are deep. But I just want you to know that indirectly, I was engaging and getting the motivation and the reminders of who I am and the whys, those questions of all the whys. And for you listening to this and watching this, the whys come up. Why am I doing this? Why am I serving? Why? What? And the influence, the pathway that was laid out, and you happen to be in the pathway. And then you would go off in the distance and handle business. And then we come back in synergy. And then you go off and handle the business and come back in synergy. So that's the cycle of life for me. And I just want to say thank you so much. And with the little time we have here, looking back, and we could go on for hours. I hope you've been having fun.
Probably.
I know, right? Well, no, this is awesome because looking back, and I was cracking up because actually Chris sent you the question. I was like, what would little Michael do? That's for me, man. I was there thinking, what would you tell little Josevie looking back at this portrait? I love this word portrait. I love this word. I got a couple credits thrown at you. So just know there's some credits coming your way.
Thank you.
Looking back, what would you tell little Josevie?
Let's see. I think I would just say,
I'm leaning in because this is good. I'm leaning in.
there's so much I would say to myself looking back. If I could go back and say something to myself, it would be everything will be all right. Yep.
That's cool.
That's a song that I sing to my kids when they used to cry when they're babies. Everything will be all right after the storm clouds pass, or after the storm clouds have gone away. Everything will be all
Everything will
right.
be all right.
Yep.
Wow, this has been awesome. This has been awesome. How can we get a hold of you? There's this book. I want you guys to go and get this book. I have it on my shopping cart. So it's been on my shopping cart. I have 2 books to buy, and this is one of them. I'm telling you, the book is called Thrive and Be Somebody. How can they get their hands on this book?
So they can go to my website, which is www.thriveandbe.com. You can get a free downloadable version of the book, absolutely free at no charge. The other thing that I would encourage people who want to write their own stories, who want to use a book as a marketing tool to grow their own businesses, is come to one of our events. Our events are absolutely free. We do them all over the world almost every weekend. We have one this weekend starting tomorrow at 4 a.m. my time that we'll be doing in Singapore time zone in Asia. And so you can attend our events for free. They're 2.5-day events that will actually, we talk about mindset on Friday night and how to overcome, what blocks us, which is really us, right? It's us that's blocking us. And so you can attend one of our events by going to www.blackcardbooks.com/events. And you can register absolutely for free.
And we're going to make sure that you have this information. I'm telling you guys, have conversations. get past the surface of life and draw in, because you never know that person in your life is there to influence you, and you are there to influence each other. It's the life law of life. It's just this cycle of life that we run into.
I just want to say one thing before we end.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when you were a little skinny little boy running around with your brother. And I want to say I'm
No,
so very proud of who you've turned out to be, because you are following in the footsteps and the legacy of my grandfather and all the rest of the
man.
family members who were impacting and influencing others. So keep going.
I'm gonna keep going. I can't wait for when you got at least a couple hours, because we've had that conversation. There's so much that I need to understand, and
Mhm.
thank you. Um,
Yeah.
family and legacy to me is like everything, and
Yeah.
without those who paved, and I actually have on our
Wait.
website a wall of influence, and he is on my website as a wall of influence. And these are key people in my life, but I never even met them. Never met them. But
Well,
everywhere I
you have,
go,
you just don't remember.
well, okay, yeah, see, okay, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember.
Yeah, you
There's no
have.
recall. There's no
Yeah.
recall. But I want to say thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so much for
welcome.
joining me
Thank
on
you.
this conversation. It has been an honor for me to have you on this episode. I want to have you back at some point, and we can just go a little bit longer, just
Absolutely.
kind of just do
Yeah.
this. Um, Night Eagles, this has been awesome. And if you want to connect with Josevie, we're going to have her information in this episode. Download more information for the next conversation on Thursdays. It's been a pleasure sitting with me in the lab. Thank you again, Josevie. I appreciate you.
Thank you.